Okay, before we get onto the video, I want to inform you that I originally planned to talk about all of my experience of the subject, but by the end of recording, I started realizing that I had so much to say, I had to cut it into more videos. So in this video, when I say I'm going to be talking about this, and this, do bear in mind of what I've just said at the start of this video. Hey everyone, this is Joshua Edley, and I'm here to talk to you about something that I've been really wanting to talk about lately. Particularly, it's about something that I am. It's about something that I know a few of you are, and I know some of you are probably a sibling or a parent to someone who is, or even know someone. So, a while back, I watched a video from a YouTuber called Autistic Tyler. And throughout that video, it was quite interesting for me because I have autism. That video inspired me to make this one because I feel like it's a subject that needs to be talked about. And I want to talk about my experience being autistic and the things that I've had to overcome and still trying to overcome. For this video, I'm going to be mostly focusing on job hunting and everything around it. I'm going to talk about some of the mental issues that I've had to deal with, some of the setbacks I've had to deal with, and how I've overcome some of them and how I am still struggling on others. I'll start off with the first few days after I finished my supported internship course, which was to help me get to work, or at least help me find work. And I think I will talk about that in another video at some point. But anyway, focusing on now. Now, one of my issues was trying to find something that I'm good at. Now, you may think like, well, what are you talking about? You must be good at something. But the thing is, what I'm good at, unfortunately, is in more specialist and creative backgrounds, really. You see, I did art and design, and I've done animation, of course, and those are the skills that I am more attuned with. So trying to find stuff outside of that was difficult for me, especially since I didn't know what I was good at. And even now, I'm still trying to figure that out. One of the setbacks I can remember having was actually during my searches in the agency that I was working with, which I should also point out is also one that helps people with learning disabilities like myself. Basically, I was at that point feeling lost in myself when I was looking around for jobs. I was lost at what I could do. I couldn't figure out what job was available. And this would carry on for at least a few weeks of job club. And I remember from some of the staff there was a bit of pressure on me to at least find something that I was good at. I ended up making one of the most stupidest mistakes as a result because of that pressure, and it really affected my confidence in decision making. So, what was it that I ended up doing? It was actually I just picked a job that seemed very simple, but it turned out to be more than it actually was. I never got really forward with it, but what it was is that I chose the job, I applied for it. The next morning, I was having my breakfast, and what happened was I got a text saying to go into an interview, and it was due to start within, I think, 5 or 15 minutes. I can't be sure on that. It's been a while since this happened, like years. That is when I started to panic, really. I was starting to think of a lot of things in my head. It was like, how was I going to get there? What could I wear at the time? I was just like in a stressed and panicked position. And after some advice from my family, I just had to not go in that interview, and I had a call the next day, and I just basically explained to them that why I actually chose to pick the job in the first place, and that was it. Because the reason I picked that job was not out of the fact that I really wanted to do that job, but it was the fact that I was feeling a lot of pressure to just pick something. And I eventually explained this to Real, and they realized that it was going to take a bit more longer and it's going to be a bit more harder for me to deal with this. Now, before we continue, I thought it would be also best to note that this incident isn't entirely the fault of the organization. In fact, a lot of the people I know there are really good people. It's based more by an ignorance that is really hard for me to describe. And the best way I can really say it is that my dad cares for people with learning disabilities. And despite everything he knows about autism, he can't understand autism in a way as someone who is autistic can. I think that's the best way I can describe it. Anyway, going back into the situation, after understanding that, it took some time, but eventually I was able to do some other stuff that was really helpful to me, that gave me a lot of experience, especially in stuff like social media and such. Like, I did some work in Cloverleaf advocacy. Particularly, I did an animation for them. So it gave me the opportunity to do stuff that I have really wanted to do, and it has allowed me to develop new skills as well as provide me confidence when I eventually get a job. And at some point, I did actually end up getting a job working for the employment organization for about 11 months. That was the contract, and I'll get into that later. That's it for part 1. Part 2 coming tomorrow. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and feel free to share the video around. Until then, this is Joshua Edley, and I'll see you later.